Hello and welcome back, Year 3. Today we're going to take a bit of a closer look at rivers, so grab your wellies and follow me. Rivers and canals, which are a bit like man-made rivers, are a really important part of this country, and they provide a habitat for many different animals. Now we're going to find out just how deep the river is. So to do that, we've got a depth stick. We're going to push it in. It has to be straight. And then we're going to mark on it where the river level has come up to. When we get back, we can measure that and we can compare it with other depths along the river as well. Bats find rivers really important in our country because rivers provide so much food for them. So many insects live around rivers, and there are plenty of places for bats to roost in the trees that grow next to the rivers on the banks. Rivers are also very important because they go underneath many busy roads in this country, and so the network of rivers and canals lets animals travel round all over England to places where they might not otherwise be able to get to. Here we have a swarm of midges, which are a type of fly, a tasty treat for some bats or frogs living along the river. Bees and butterflies love the wildflowers around the river as well. These are perfect for homes and for pollen to feed them. Many wildflowers around the UK have been taken out in order to increase farmland, but by the riversides we have corridors for the wildlife to live on. The fields surrounding rivers make ideal hunting grounds for the silent predator, the owl. Grass snakes also like to live there, but don't worry if you see one, they're harmless and they don't bite. Mallards are a type of duck that can be seen all over the UK. They like to eat all sorts of things like seeds, acorns, berries, plants, insects, and even shellfish. They nest near open water in a place where they can find plenty of food. The females have a camouflage pattern of their feathers to help them hide, while the males have a green head for most of the year. Nestled in the reeds alongside the river here, we have a moorhen tending to her nest. The male moorhen comes out and flashes his tail in an intimidating display to warn us not to come too much closer. You can tell that they're moorhens by the red on their beaks. We'll move upstream and see what else we can find. If we look inside this patch of reeds, we can see a moorhen nest, delicately woven with bits of grass and bits of plant fibre to make a soft bed. Lots of animals also make the riverbank their home. Water voles really like steep banks that they can burrow into and make lots of tunnels where they can live and sleep safe and sound. These overgrown banks provide perfect hiding places for many creatures, such as the water shrew, who likes to burrow underneath dense vegetation. These strange-looking creatures only live for about a year and a half, but the cover provided by the riverbank helps to protect them during this time. Here in the bank we found a badger set. This is where a badger would have made its home, hidden deep underground where it can rest easily. This underground footage shows badgers sleeping during the day to get energy to hunt at night. It's a rabbit warren, but it's a hole burrowed into the side of the riverbank here where the animals can make their den. Rabbits are herbivores, which, if you remember, means that they eat vegetation and not other animals.
They eat grass, crops, tree bark, and yes, even vegetables like carrots. However, wherever you find rabbits, you're likely to also see foxes.
How fast does the river actually flow? Let's experiment.
Speed is distance travelled divided by the time taken. So a car travelling at 60 miles an hour has travelled 60 miles in 1 hour. We will use this fact to find out just how quickly the river is flowing, even without the help of a car.
One duck which doesn't live in this river is the rubber duck. We are going to use the rubber duck today to conduct an experiment to find out how fast the river is flowing. So an assistant will drop the duck in here and I will be 100 metres downstream ready to catch it in this net. All the time I will be timing on a stopwatch to find out how long it takes the duck to travel 100 metres down the river. Three, two, one, release.
So now we know how fast the river is flowing on a straight section, but how fast do you think it'll be flowing on a meander where the river curves and bends?
3, 2, 1, release.
The experiment showed that the river was flowing more quickly on the straight section than it was on the curvy section. If you played any racing games, this is what you probably would have expected, that the straight section allows more speed to be picked up. This is the case too with rivers, as long as the banks are the same width apart. They were for this example because when you're doing an experiment, you should only change one thing, one variable. And the variable we changed was whether the river was straight or curved. We tried to keep all the other variables, all the other things, the same as much as possible. The distance was the same, the duck was the same, and the depth of the river was the same. In conclusion, straight river flowed more quickly than the curved river, where the water slowed down.
Let's check how deep the river is in the middle of this fastest flowing section. We'll take a couple of samples of the water to look at when we get back.
It looks like my boots took some samples too. So if we take a look at this sample of a part of the riverbed, we can see that it is quite murky. That's because of all the dust, all the dirt, which is suspended in the water. It's quite hard to see. We need to wait for the water to settle. Luckily, we have our watch. I'll just set it for 24 hours. 3, 2, 1. Now the water is nice and clear. Water is transparent. You can see through it to the bottom of the river. If we look carefully now, we can see the different layers. The dirt has formed. Sometimes a dead body of an animal or their skeleton might fall to the bottom of the river, get covered in layers and layers of dirt and rocks, and that will make a new type of rock. Do you remember what it was called? Sedimentary rocks. If you look very carefully at this sample, you should be able to see a water shrimp swimming around. Eating all the little molecules of vegetable matter. Can you see the water shrimp? One of the smallest river dwellers. Here is a ruler for scale. The water shrimp is very small, less than a centimetre long. I will release it back into the river to be with its friends at the end of this recording, unless you think we need a new class pet. One thing it is very important for me to mention, Year 3, is about being safe. Now, I went into the river today because I have had training in how to be in a river. I had my adults' permission and there were people there to look after me. You shouldn't be going into rivers. Small streams, if you have your adults' permission and it's a special occasion, but rivers, you should stay away. You must always remember to be safe. Stay away from the edge. Be safe, Year 3. Thank you for coming along to have a bit of a closer look at rivers with me today. Over the next few weeks, we will keep looking at rivers together and hopefully we'll have a bit of a better understanding by the end of it. Remember to look after each other and to be kind to each other. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.